I walked out into the hallway from interviewing Hope Hicks, sitting at a table with her and my colleagues from across the aisle, walking out into the hallway only to have a reporter ask me if something that was just said was true, to the point where for the first time since I've been on the committee for over a year doing these investigations with Trey Gowdy, I asked the reporter, who told you that? Because that's absolutely absurd that we can't conduct this interview in a SCIF, which is classified spaces, and walk out into the hallway only to have a reporter ask me if something is true that was just said. Basically means that there is no integrity left within the walls of that committee.
Well, he's right. There is a lot of leaking going on. Sometimes as, a Q&A session is going on, presumably behind closed doors. So someone's just getting that info out right away. And it's a problem. It's a big problem. Joining me now, the Federalist Molly Hemingway. Molly, I was surprised that it was current. In other words, it's not after the fact. It's being, sent out in some cases during the fact. What did you make of that?
Well, this is not the first time that Democrats on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence have leaked during a hearing. I mean, there were previous examples of that. I think Don Jr.'s testimony was leaked during the hearing. But it's not just that there are leaks happening. It's about the way those leaks are presented. And they have a pattern of being false. Like this Hope Hicks testimony, she says that sometimes she says her boss is in a meeting when actually he's just otherwise busy. Now, it's entirely possible that you think that's treasonous collusion or treasonous behavior. But if so, we're going to have an entire town of press secretaries hanging by the gallows if that is in fact something that you're that is really indicative of serious problems in how you discourse with the media or with other people. So it's not just that they're leaking, it's how they're doing it. And this week alone there have been multiple examples of them doing this kind of false leak. They leaked to The Atlantic these texts between WikiLeaks and Roger Stone, but they didn't do the full leak, or maybe the reporter did. Maybe it's the reporter's fault, but they were purporting to show the exact opposite of what they showed. The actual text showed that WikiLeaks was telling Roger Stone to knock off saying that they had a relationship, but the way it was spun in the media was that they did have a collusion or treasonous relationship. So it's not just the leaking, it's the spin that goes along with the leaking.
Yeah, and the Hope Hicks thing, the one that intrigued me, if that was the line, the white lies line, that was the one that was really savored over 9 hours of a back and forth, testimony. I don't know. I mean, that's a bit of a leap.
If that's all you have after 9 hours of testimony, you probably don't have much to go with. I just want to remind people also that House Democrats were behind that huge blow-up of the CNN story where they said that they had evidence that WikiLeaks or that somebody had provided hacked emails before they were made public. And it turned out that the Democrats on the committee had either misread or given false information to CNN, and they had the date wrong. So this is just something where people really need to think through. Are we actually learning about treasonous collusion with Russia, or are we seeing something entirely different? An investigation that hasn't shown treasonous collusion, but is showing a bunch of little tiny things that aren't really that big of a deal, but are spun by Democrats into being a big deal.
Well, I know leaking has been going on forever, but man, oh man, it just seems like crazy. All right, Molly Hemingway, thank you very, very much in Washington. Again, just to conclude here before we leave, the Dow down about 420 points, now open within 1,000. Last few trading days on concerns the president, maybe with all the right intentions, could start a trade war. Will he? We'll be exploring that tomorrow. The 5 is next.